Well, hello. Thank you for joining the Curt and Jen in the Morning podcast.
What a great open there. It's true. Yes, thank you so much for watching and listening. And again, we would appreciate a follow or a smiley face, or what else do we want?
Likes, subscribe.
Likes.
Subscribing is free. It is
Subscribing is
free.
free.
So, and I know on YouTube it's subscribe, on Spotify it might be follow, and it just means you get the most updated episode that pops up on that platform. And we post
Fantastic.
the link every weekday because we do a new.
Yes, I got to move this. I got to do the old-fashioned close-up, which is moving the computer closer to me. There we go. That's better.
Closer. Okay. All right. Curt, we got a good little show happening today. Some things that you are going to learn about. I'm learning things.
You're going to learn what it means to be a Venmo mom or dad, which is new to both of us, right?
Yeah,
And
this is awesome.
Also the most costly and dangerous plastic surgery you can get. So if you're thinking about this one, you might want to rethink it. Just saying.
I didn't even know that this was a thing.
It's a thing. Finally, watch out for flying pigs, or hell is officially frozen over, because OASIS, the band, is getting back together. More on that coming up.
Well, and did you already say what type of friend are you? I didn't know there's categories. Okay.
Evidently there is.
Okay.
What type of friend are you? Type A, B, C, or D? Also, how wise do you think you are? Would you describe yourself as wise, Jen?
I have wise friends, and that's for a reason.
And we're going to look into what we asked for yesterday. Your most expensive mistakes. We have some fun ones.
Yeah,
I don't know how fun the people think that they are.
I know. I didn't know how to respond to some of the comments on Facebook. I'm like, do I love that? Do I? One of them I gave an angry face though, because I couldn't even believe it.
Well, we did get a couple of my most expensive mistakes was husband number one. So there were a few of those in there too.
But first, trivia last night, Curt, to celebrate your birthday, which was on Monday. Your birthday was Monday. We celebrated it. Well, you and Dana celebrated on Monday. We celebrated with a small group of friends with you last night.
Yeah, trivia at Sean O'Donnell. So I got to say thanks to Glenn and Lori and to Randy and Carrie and to Stephen Kilbreath and my wife and you. And who else am I missing? Tim and Trish. All came out and joined the fun. So which didn't help us a bit. We had this big group for trivia. We're like, we're gonna kick ass, and we came in like, I don't know, 8th out of 10 or 7th out of 10.
We tied for 7th, and there were 3 teams tied at 7th, and I think there were 10 teams. Yeah, it was not a good showing for us. Even with the good luck plant, Carrie and Randy brought you a good luck plant, and it didn't help us. But we're gonna keep bringing it to trivia.
A good luck plant. It was bamboo.
I know, but it's called a good luck plant, Curt.
I would call it a good luck bamboo, but okay, you're right. I don't know if is bamboo a plant. I suppose it is.
Yeah, and your wife said we need to charge it. I think she said we need to charge the plant.
Well, and that brings us to something else we were talking about, because Dana and also Lori that was there, I think, and several other people are like, for lack of better terms, they're into some of this more mystical stuff that we were discussing last night, and it came up that there's an event coming up here before too long. I think September 20th, where
maybe I think it's
20. I get to go out. It's the autumnal equinox, and I get to go out and dance naked under a full moon. I get to
outside, not in your house. You're going outside.
Yeah, we're all supposed to. You're not going to do it. You're not going to participate, are you, Jen Pirak?
Have you done this before, Curt?
No, but I don't think I'd have any. Well, see, our house is located on a cul-de-sac, and we're on the circle part of the cul-de-sac. So we don't really have anybody directly next to us, and I've got trees behind us. I think if I had people, right there, I may be less hesitant to do this. But since it's pretty secluded, yeah, why not?
Are you going in your backyard or your front yard?
Backyard. I'm not going to the front yard. There's a street light and people.
Well, if you can't see the moon from the backyard, then you really can't do it, can you?
I think that the full moon envelops everybody, whether you can actually see it or not. But I believe we'll be able to see the full moon from the backyard. I don't want to get into too much detail on this, because that's probably not going to happen anyway.
What? Yeah. You dancing naked? I have a feeling it will. Dina is like, we're doing this.
Yes. So the full moon, evidently, well, people always have, this goes back thousands of years of ancient cultures. The full moon has some special magic and some mystery. and special energy. And to a lot of people, and it's you can sit there and say, well, there's no proof that that works. Like, well, there's also no proof that it doesn't work.
Right. No,
So
you know what? Please know that I'm not knocking it. I think that it's awesome and I think there's something to it. I just cannot believe that that is what you're going to be doing. So good for you.
well,
Way to go, Curt.
I
Dance
guess
naked under the full moon.
you told me, and everybody has told me, do what your wife says. All right. So she says we're dancing naked under the full moon, then that's what I'm going to do.
Well, I have a feeling Lori and Glenn, who were there, might be doing the same thing.
It's possible. I don't. We'll see. But you find out more and more people that have these like, yeah, we do, maybe it's crystals. They have crystals or whatever, or they like, what it is, maybe it's that feng shui or whatnot. But these, I don't even know how you describe it. If these are cultural or just I guess, for lack of better terms, ideas that, like, hey, why not? Why
Yeah,
not
you
try
know what?
this?
Absolutely. I'm open to all of that. I mean, you know what? I'm going to ask Pat if he wants to dance naked under the moon.
Right. Well, why not? Well, it does.
I mean, he's going to look a lot better dancing under the moon than I'm going to,
Stop
but
it.
okay.
Not putting up with that. Not putting up with that. But it is fun to find people that are like, oh yeah, I do that. I mean, what you even said, you got a lucky bamboo last night. Well, how is a bamboo lucky? It's like, well, it does this, this, and this. Again, no proof that it works, but it's nice to think that it does. And hey, maybe there is something to it.
Yeah, and keep your mind open to things because you don't know what it could bring into your world. It could
I
bring
am keeping
your
my
life.
mind open to things. I'm even keeping my mind open to Venmo moms and dads.
Oh, I just saw this. I didn't know it was a thing, but it's true. It is true. So this person is going viral for her post because she's like, my kids are going back to school. I went to the curriculum night. Oh, excuse me. And she said, I don't want to be involved. I don't want to do PTA or PTO or whatever you call it. I don't want to be a classroom mom. I don't want to volunteer. I don't want to do any of those things. But what I will do is I will give money. And
Here you
so
go.
I'm a Venmo mom. That is me, and I'm proud of it. And so she's going viral, and I'm like, that is brilliant. And the world needs people like Venmo mom, but people are like tearing her apart because she said that. And it's like,
Well, I think, yeah. She also said she's not gonna, when it comes to setting up the classroom for a parents' night or whatever, she's not gonna help with that. She doesn't want to. I mean, really, she's saying, I want nothing to do with any extracurricular stuff for my kid in the school. But here's some money.
yeah, and here's the thing. She said, this is not to say that I'm not gonna help make sure my kids do their homework, get school lunches together for them. Like she's gonna do all the things for her family, but I believe this is her way of setting boundaries for herself, right? This is not her priority, but she still realizes the importance of all that and that it needs to happen. And so here's some money to make it happen. And we need
Right.
people like that just as much as we need people to volunteer. So good for you.
I think it's very difficult to find volunteers when you need volunteers. And I imagine that a lot of the other parents are like, listen, I'd rather just give money too, but here I am putting up posters or whatever the case may be. So that's, and I'm not, I don't really have an opinion on this because it's not going to, I mean, I don't have to help set up I don't have any kids, but my takeaway from it was, and I get what those people are saying as well. It's like, listen, nobody wants to help put up the things and get this ready or be on the PTA,
I mean,
but we
I
do it
did.
anyway.
I did. I didn't have the US dollars to donate, so I did volunteer and I actually liked it. I had a good time doing it.
Sure. Well, you manage to have a good time at most things, so that's probably true. And if you make it fun, why not? I think you can approach anything from, this is actually kind of fun.
Yeah. Are you going to talk about Oasis? Because you're the music guy.
Yeah, well, that was the deal with Oasis. Basically, is if you know anything about the band, you remember the songs from way back when, Wonderwall and Live Forever, and you probably remember Champagne Supernova. They were huge, and they were actually kind of controversial for saying, we're bigger than the Beatles and blah blah blah. But they
They
were
did?
well, they in the UK and Britain, they were, in the mid 90s, they were enormous. And then the problem
Really?
with the band is the two of the band members are brothers, Liam and Noel Gallagher, and they fought a lot. I mean, physically fought sometimes, argued all the time, and
Oh
then
my
in
God.
19, actually they I believe they got together. They basically broke up, I think, in the early 2000s, and then they haven't played together since August of 2009. And it was one of those things like for people, when are you guys getting back to? We'll never getting back together. He's a jerk. That was a
Oh,
terrible English accent, and I'm sure he used a different word besides jerk.
but they made amends and now they're back together?
Evidently, but it's still it still remains to be seen if this is going to
What
happen.
song do I know by Oasis? Do you think? Can you sing it real quick? Because you can sing very well.
You're killing me. Well, these are what did I say? Live Forever, Champagne Supernova. What else did I just
Did we
say?
play any of them when we were on the radio? I know we did. I know we played Oasis.
My favorite is Champagne Supernova, but it's like a 7.5 minute long song, so they
Oh
had to make
my
a
God,
radio
we
edit
didn't
for
play
it.
that then.
Mhm. Yeah, it was a
All right.
longie,
I'll
but
look it up. I'll look them up.
thank you. But anyway, that is if you are a fan of 90s alternative music in particular, that is a pretty huge deal because they're like, that's never going to happen. Like, well, remember when the Eagles did the Hell Freezes Over tour? Because
Yeah.
they were not going to get back together until it froze over apparently, and it's done it again with the boys in Oasis.
All
So that's
right.
that's you know that's pretty exciting.
I
Now,
had
go.
no idea that this was a plastic surgery that you could even have done to your body. And it is the riskiest. The most people have complained about it. 92% of patients who have had this done have
Complications.
complications.
Now let's go through some of the other lists too, because we
Oh,
have the riskiest plastic surgeries. And so you might be thinking, oh, plastic surgeries, breast augmentation, reduction, arm lifts, injectable fillers is one, the old Brazilian butt lift, right? These are all plastic surgeries. But the number one riskiest and also I think most expensive, as you said, over 92% of people have complications. Having your eye color changed.
what? What? No. The
Right. And
complication is you go blind,
yes, the
people.
complications are, yeah. So I've never heard, maybe this is not something that happens in the US. I've never heard about this, but
I haven't either. I just
evidently you can have your eye
cannot.
color changed if you
Oh,
have on average $12,000.
to go blind, apparently, too. Like you're paying to go blind. I don't even understand that. People, there's contacts. There's colored
Yes.
contacts. That's how you can change your eye color.
Yeah. Or you
Or
can
just embrace
spend,
what nature gave you and just be happy and love yourself for it.
well, have I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, and you probably don't know the answer to this either, but can't people get tattoos like on the whites of their eyes, I think?
Yes, I think so. I don't even understand any of it.
The face you're making right now, the cringy face you're making.
Although I would like to look into the thigh lift. I'd like to know what that's about.
Ah,
All right, we're not spending any more time on that. We just wanted you to know, and I just had no idea there was such a thing as an eye color change as a
ugh.
plastic
Yeah, if the risk is going blind, you might want to give that a second thought.
huge.
So, what did we ask yesterday?
The most expensive mistake that you've ever made, and I will tell you, here's what brought this up, is I was doing something, we were in Cedar Woolley, hot firefighter boyfriend Pat and I was in the motorhome doing something, and I hear him yell the F word, like very loud, like and several times. Like I'm like, oh dear, that's
Fudge.
that's not good. So I
Yeah.
went out, I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, I mean, he made a mistake. In his words, he's like, I wasn't thinking. I put this part, and of course, it has to do with big machinery because that's what he has up at Steed Road to build houses and remodel them. So
Right.
his tractor, he had put this part in a place where it shouldn't have been, and then he went to turn something or whatever, and it just like cracked these cylinders open, and I mean, it was
Do you
bad.
have any idea the expense of the expensive mistake?
Well,
Did he tell you what it was going
he
to
was like,
cost?
This is gonna cost a lot of money," and I'm like, "Okay, let's just see. Like, why don't you diagnose it instead of, you know." And he's like, "Okay." So when all is said and done, he was thinking it was gonna be a lot more than this, but it ended up being $1,000 because he's gonna do most of the work himself. If he would have had other people do the work, it would have been a lot more money.
Way more US
But it
dollars.
has required him to get a part custom made because he cannot find it. It was so
Uh,
busted that it was not fixable. Anyway,
It's so busted. Well, that is what started this whole thing. We wanted to know the most expensive mistakes that you've ever made. And as usual, you guys are awesome and came to our rescue, I guess, for lack of better terms. And let's go through some of these. Teresa, I like hers. She said that at the time she was a recently divorced single mom, decided to move back to Georgia, which I believe is where she grew up, to be near family, and realized I could not live there anymore. Moved back with my toddler 6 months later and have never left Seattle since. So that entire move to Georgia and back was the most expensive mistake that Teresa ever made.
Marilyn said her biggest, most expensive mistake was hiring a bad attorney for a bad car accident. So that sucks.
Right. What about Amy, who this is probably pretty common at this point, paid the wrong person on Venmo, tried to get the money back to no avail, and apparently tried to reach out to Venmo rather, and got no response. So she writes, Amy says, I hope the person kept the money and did something good with it.
Well, that's what makes that was my angry. I responded with an angry face to her to that post because I'm like, people, if you weren't expecting to get money on like Venmo or Zelle or whatever it is, Apple Pay, contact them and find out like this must have been a mistake. Like, can I send this back to you?
Well,
Like
she did. She reached out to Venmo and she got no response.
I know, but she could have reached. I think she also tried to reach out to the person and got no response. And all I'm saying is, person, be honest. Like if you get, like I'm saying, if you get money that you weren't expecting from someone that you don't even know, don't just keep it. Oh, there's my dogs. They see a squirrel. Sailor, no. Sailor literally gets squirrels.
Yes, go get the squirrel, Sailor. Janelle, when asked the most expensive mistake she ever made, she misbooked a flight for the week of Thanksgiving, traveling to Alabama at the time. Going to spend a week in Alabama, then meet my parents in California, and off to Mexico, and it just got crazy. Arrived in Alabama, for 2 weeks, no one. And so anyway, her most expensive mistake was that misbooking a flight for the week of Thanksgiving.
Ina's biggest mistake, this is a good one because I think people do this often, and I feel like when you're at an auction, they count on it. She
Mm-hmm.
drank too much wine. There was a auction on like what do you call it? The live auction part.
A charity auction, yeah.
She thought that she was bidding on a
It's
membership
a
to the
safari.
zoo. No, she thought she was bidding on something to the zoo.
Oh, an annual
Right?
zoo pass. That's right. I saw big screen, the lions in the big screen. I thought I was bidding on an annual zoo pass, and I bid $500 on it.
Well, it actually was a safari, and it cost $5,000.
But that sounds to me like she got a safari worth $5,000 for $500.
No, well, no, she read it all wrong. Like it was all wrong. I think well, I don't know. I don't read it that way. Her expensive mistake was that it cost $5,000 instead of 500. She missed
Oh,
a
I see.
zero. Too much
I
wine does that sometimes.
She said I could have used the money on other things. Never went on the safari, but in the end, she was fine because the money went to a good cause. Awesome,
I'm
Ina.
going to go back up to Amanda's and just mention Amanda's real quick. I'm going
Okay.
to try to summarize this. She was trying to buy tickets to a concert that she really likes in a different state. And the problem is she did it during work time while she was on a meeting and was half paying attention and clicked a third party ticket seller and ended up paying way too much for the
Got
ticket
it.
and couldn't get her money back. It was all the things, and that's a bummer when you do that because you're not paying attention.
More of the most expensive mistakes you've ever made. Lisa said, well, she said, I married the wrong guy. All right, there's that one.
And then Anne Marie agreed with it. She did the same thing.
Jeff said the most expensive mistake he made was a 2006 Chevy Tahoe, overpriced from the beginning, so expensive to gas up in service. Good grief, painful.
And there's another car story. Jimmy bought a $4,000 used Volkswagen Beetle that lasted a total of 2 weeks. Wah, wah, wah.
You know what? This is actually that reminds me of one of the first cars I got. My parents, shoot, I can't remember the car. I think it was a Buick Skylark or something that they got on a great deal. So this is back when I was 16, 17 years old. So they bought this car for me, and the low oil light was on, and they're like, oh, that just comes on occasionally. It's not a big deal. Well, it turns out Here I am, first time driver.
Oh,
Car runs out of oil. The engine seizes up, and that was probably about another month or so after that that they were like, "Oh, guess what? We got taken on that one.
oh
Damn it!
no. Oh
Yeah,
dear.
it happens. There's still room for you and your most expensive mistake stories. If you want to share on any of the platforms, we'd love to hear from you as well.
So, Kurt, would you say that car story that you just told was your mistake or your parents' mistake? Like, what was your big, like, most expensive mistake?
Most expensive mistake. I'm trying to think. It probably involved. You know
It's
what?
hard.
I should have given this more. Do you, well, if you have one, go for it. Well, I think of mine.
Oh, I forgot. I thought that was mine, but that's actually Pat's. Oh, I know what mine is. It's recent. I mean, maybe there's one that's more expensive, but remember I told you that Macy backed into someone else's car, the babysitter's car at her dad's house?
Yeah.
Well, I was the parent driver, and so I feel like that was my mistake because I thought she had it handled. Like I didn't, I thought she was gonna stop. And so I kind of put that on myself. And that was over $2,000. And when you don't have a job, $2,000 is a lot of dollars.
That's
Let me
you
tell
know what?
you.
And I did think of one. The first boat I bought, not the one that we have now, the first boat I bought, I found out later, had it for a couple of years. It was fine, no big deal. But so I went to trade it in on this boat that I have now, and they said, "Well, we can't take this boat." And I said, "Why?" And they said, "Well, did it sink while you owned it or prior to that?" And I was like, "It didn't sink while I owned it." And they're like, "Well, yeah, this boat spent some time underwater." I was like, "You're kidding me." Apparently, and I don't think it sank. I think it probably went down in the marina, like at an angle, like the butt went down, and the stern, if you will. And so they said there's a water line here in the engine compartment. You can see this water line on the side where it was at least underwater that much. So they're like, we cannot take this as a trade in. So I ended up donating it to people that take boats for kids to whatever. Anyway, so that was
Oh my God.
probably about a $5,000 mistake or more.
Wow. They don't have like Carfax for boats.
You, by the way, are frozen right now, Jen.
Well, I still hear you though. Do you hear me?
You're
Uh,
still frozen, and we can barely hear you. This is awesome. This is one of the issues with doing the old remote thing, right?
it says my connection is unstable.
Oh, you're back.
Okay. Thank
You know
goodness.
what you would not have liked? You would not have liked the picture that was frozen there, the picture that you were frozen with. You know how that happens? You're stuck with this or something like
What was it? What was mine?
about that.
Oh shit. I mean,
That
shoot.
face. That doo doo doo. That was the
Oh,
face.
all right. Talk to me about being a wise person.
Oh yeah, this was a question that they asked people to of themselves. They said, "Are you a wise person? Would you consider yourself a wise person?" And I think most people think of wisdom. Oh, that's stuff you get from a grandparent or great grandparent, like an older person. But it says here, there's no minimum age to be a wise person. An 80-year-old can be wise, and so can an 8-year-old. And this was a study in Canada, looked up the top traits that make a person wise. So if you have some of these traits, maybe you are a wise person and don't even know it, right?
Okay. Tell me.
All right. They boil it down to a few things. In order to be wise, you have to have reflective orientation and what? Reflective.
Socio-emotional awareness.
Okay. Well, you have to have two things. I don't even know what they are. To be wise, you
Well,
have to have
that means
reflective
you're not
orientation
wise.
and socio-emotional awareness. So if we have those, Jen, I guess we're wise. And then it's
Well, I'm
saying here
already out.
reflective.
I'm already tapping out.
Well, reflective orientation means you're able to think logically. Okay. Also control your emotions, reflect on things, and apply knowledge in a useful way. I would say that you and myself and most of our friends are capable of doing that. The
Okay.
socio-emotional awareness means you care about other people's feelings, have good intentions, and you're mindful of how you interact in social settings.
Oh, I'm more that than the reflective orientation.
So I guess we're both wise.
Okay, I'll take that.
You'll take it.
Okay.
Wisdom. I always thought it was some sort of here's a person giving out sage advice, and it's a usually an older person. It's like then they have some kind of I don't know, an aura to them or whatever that makes them wise. But I wouldn't consider myself very wise.
Okay, now we're going to talk about, so we figured out if we're wise or not. Now we need to figure out what type of friend we are.
I
I'm a
did not know
type.
that there were, A, B, C, and D types of friends.
Yeah. So what category do you fit into? So here's the thing. A TikToker in North Carolina named Deanna May blew up online for this video showing what all her type B friends are like. So this is the deal. Um, I'm just gonna read the what type of friend are you? Like,
Okay.
okay. So a type A friend, the overly responsible one. You plan and organize everything, have a sense of urgency, and make things like vacations not fall apart.
Okay. High achievers. Just like when you say a type A personality, that's a type A friend.
Yes.
Okay.
Type B are the more chill kind of friends. You'd give the shirt off your, so if you're type B, you'd give the shirt off your back, but you need help too. You're forgetful, leave stuff behind, and your phone is always dead.
Is that also you?
No, that's not me.
Your phone dies.
My phone sometimes, but not often. Type C, they're like type A's, but they hide their emotions more. So if you're type C friend, you're organized like type A, but more neurotic, more
Hmm.
likely to bow out of things other people want to do, and you love long naps.
I'm a type C. Look at that.
Are you organized though?
I just looked at the neurotic, more likely to bow out of things, and you love long naps.
Okay. Type D friend, you're annoyed a lot. What is this? You're more irritable if you're a type D. You're
Hmm.
annoyed a lot, prone to confrontation, have a twisted sense of humor, and you might be into weird stuff like crystals and astrology.
Well, I think I have a twisted sense of humor, but that's prone to confrontation, not in the least. I guess I got to go with type C for me. What about
Okay.
you, Jen? Are you type A?
Yeah, but I was just reading the next part of this. BuzzFeed did a poll where most people said they're type A, but a lot claimed they realized they're type B after watching the videos. So maybe we need to go watch the videos and make sure we're putting ourselves in the right category.
Uh, I'm okay with my just going with the I like long naps. I'm type C. I'll do that.
Okay. Okay, we didn't talk about this. What do we want to talk about tomorrow? Do we want to talk about what's here?
This is your so I, here's one that I thought you had this all put together. I thought this was something that you're like, oh, I got a great idea. Let's talk about this. So
I
what do
just
you got?
I copy and pasted it. That's an idea for us. Okay, we're
Oh,
gonna go with it. Okay,
okay.
we're gonna go with this. So I'm gonna give credit to where credit is due. There's this guy named Jeff. I don't know where WKRZ FM is, but he's the one that came up with this. He had this divorce theory, and what brought it up was the fact that there was a lot of talk about J Lo filing for her fourth divorce.
Hmm.
So he gave out his divorce theory, and that is one divorce is that's too bad. We all make mistakes. Two divorces is, gee, let's slow down a little bit, take a breather for crying out loud, maybe consider therapy.
Yeah.
Three divorces, stay home for God's sakes. You're eating up the dating pool. And four divorces is mystery solved. You're the problem.
You're
But
the
I
problem.
don't necessarily, you know what? I mean, you hear that people, oh, I've been divorced four times. If you're in the dating world and someone's like, yeah, I've been divorced four times, is that going to be like, oh
A
my,
huge red flag.
right?
Four red flags.
So I guess the question is what? Like, if you've been divorced multiple times, tell us about it. Like, what happened? Why did you get divorced so many times? And
And are you the problem?
this is not judging. It's just like I want to know more because there's a story there, right?
Yeah, and maybe they want to share, and maybe not, but that's the here's your opportunity. I do. Yeah, I actually had a long conversation with a person who was extremely drunk. She was very drunk, and I was at a house party. And this is one of those things when you're done with the conversation, you're thinking, I'm never going to get that 20 minutes back ever in my life. That was a complete waste of 20 minutes. But she had been divorced four times, and I sort of was thinking, well, how do I say so? Tell me about that. I mean, at what point do you say, I'm not very good at being married? And it's again, yeah, not judging or anything like that, but this is just, marriage is just not the thing for me or whatnot. I never got a chance to ask her about that. So this might be a great chance to hear about these things.
Yeah, if you've been divorced multiple times, talk about, talk about your story. I want to hear like what led to the multiple divorces.
I've only had one.
I've only had one too. And it's not fun. Like that's the other thing, Kurt. I mean, you know how painful it is to go through a divorce.
Ah, jeez.
And on so many levels, right? And to have like someone that's gone through multiple, that is
Right.
hard on your heart, man.
I would
And
think so
maybe on
too.
your pocketbook too, I would imagine.
Well, at the time that it's going on, I think that it's easy to say, well, he or she did this and they did this and they did this. And then I think after you had the benefit of time, you're like, well, maybe I did something too to contribute. I mean, there's two people involved, right? So yeah, you're if you are multiple divorcee, or yeah, you want to hear about what's going on there. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah,
Or what's
yeah.
your divorce theory? I don't care.
Your divorce theory. Okay.
Could be that too.
I did like the third divorce saying, stay home, you're eating up the dating pool on your third divorce, is what this
Seriously.
guy says.
That's real.
Right. He doesn't get to maybe you're the problem until four divorces. So I think after two, I might say, maybe I'm the problem.
Oh, I mean, I always think I'm the problem. So I'm trying to do self-improvement all the time.
Oh man.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Have a great Wednesday. Make good choices, find joy, and spread kindness. We'll see you tomorrow.